Good evening. Welcome to the regular Piqua City Commission meeting dated April 5th, 2022. First, I'd like to, call in a meeting to order now. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, will the clerk call the roll, please?
Commissioner Lee.
Here.
Commissioner Pearson.
Here.
Commissioner Foat.
Here.
Commissioner Hines. Here. Commissioner Grissom.
He's told us he was going to be, can he be excused? Can I have a motion for him to be excused?
Second.
Motion and a second, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next on the agenda, we have a presentation from Piqua Main Street tonight. Lorna Swisher will be providing us with an update.
Good evening. Lorna Swisher, the Executive Director of Main Street Piqua. Thank you for the opportunity to come and speak with you tonight about the activities and events that are going to happen in the downtown area in the coming months. I'm going to spend a couple minutes focused on these three areas: beautification, economic development, and then give you a preview of our 2022 schedule of events. And hopefully we'll be able to answer any questions that you might have later in the presentation. First of all, we'll talk about beautification. We will be doing, of course, our annual planting program. The boxwoods that are presently in all of the planters will be removed. We purchased those late last fall through the Upper Valley Career Center, and we will be donating those boxwoods to the City of Piqua, and they will be replanted throughout the City of Piqua in the city parks. So we're happy that those plants will be recycled because they're fabulous and they're healthy and they need to be used elsewhere as well. The Upper Valley Career Center kids will then come in the week after Mother's Day and will plant the dragon wing begonias into the planters, and then of course the city watering crews take over through the end of the year. So we're excited to have downtown looking beautiful again with the planters. It will take a while. The Career Center kids are in the process of growing the plants right now, and then after they're planted, as I said, the city will take over the maintenance of them. We're also in the process of working on some downtown decorations. This image was taken a couple of years ago before the evergreen became diseased, died, and needed to be taken away. So we are in the process of working on some kind of artificial Christmas tree that we will be able to use in the downtown area, or something like that, as well as some other downtown decor. Main Street is planning on doing some fundraising this year, including some grant writing, so that we can purchase some additional amenities for our downtown area this year. We just want to brighten up downtown for the holiday season, because that's what our citizens expect and deserve. I just do want to remind you that we are having our Downtown Cleanup Day on Saturday, May the 7th. We start at 8:30 in the morning at the gazebo. Some orange juice, a donut, and some coffee to get you going. We'll be cleaning out planters, sweeping the sidewalks, basically cleaning up the downtown for our first event, Taste of the Arts, coming up on the 13th, which is just a week later. Everyone is welcome to join us. I've had a couple of Boy Scout troops that have reached out to me that will be joining us. So any service organizations, Girl Scout troops, church groups, anybody who wants to join us is certainly more than welcome to do that. We also encourage our business owners to do a little extra cleaning up around their businesses as well, especially in light of the fact that the event season will be upon us the very next week. Let's talk about economic development. One of the things that's taken up an extraordinary amount of bandwidth at the Main Street office in the last couple of weeks is a business guide. We have created this business guide. It has a listing of every single public-facing downtown business. So that's almost 200 businesses. And so we started out with a piece of paper that was like twice as big as this. So we have narrowed that down, and we're in the process now of proofing it, and then we will get it printed and distributed to our businesses. In fact, we had a Taste of the Arts meeting today, and one of the folks who works in the downtown area that serves on that committee was saying that she was packed on Saturday with lots of folks from outside of town in the downtown area, and they were asking where they can eat and where else they can shop. So the timing to bring out this business guide is absolutely spot on, and again, we hope to have it on the street within, I'm hoping, the next 2 to 4 weeks, something like that. We're, as I said, in the process of proofing it, making sure we got all the phone numbers and addresses and all that kind of good stuff right. But it will be a wonderful asset for our community. In addition to having all of the businesses listed, there is a list of all of our Main Street special events on the back of it as well. I am excited to share with you that Main Street Piqua has partnered with the Piqua Area Chamber of Commerce on their gift certificate program. This was a program that has been administered by the Chamber for a long time, and prior it was exclusive to Chamber members. So Kathy Sherman and I spoke about it, and she was happy to bring the downtown businesses also into that Main Street gift certificate program. So now it's a combined effort. So we encourage either folks locally or businesses who want to give a little extra gift to their employees or something to purchase those gift certificates, because now they are going to be redeemable at almost twice the number of businesses that they previously were available at. I think this is a wonderful way to keep businesses and money in the local community and circulate that money as often as possible. So we already have a local manufacturing company that is going to be purchasing some for their employees for Administrative Professionals Day, hint, hint. So anybody can stop by the chamber and pick up those gift certificates and make them available for their employees. So that is a cool program that we are just launching right now, and you'll be hearing more about it in the coming weeks. Couple of new businesses, of course, that have joined our downtown business community: J Boutique, Kinetic Fitness, the Venue, and the Piqua Arts and Innovation Center all have opened up since the beginning of the year, and all are doing quite well at this time. There is no doubt we have a lot of vacancy in our downtown right now, and just a couple of updates for you. The ProCare building and the second-story gallery, both of those, they're actually two different addresses and owned previously by two different people. One person is coming in to purchase those two buildings and will be making them available for rent in the downtown area, which is fabulous. We unfortunately will be losing the second-story gallery. They've been in business for almost 40 years in the downtown, and Ron Johnson has decided that he's going to retire. So that is a long-standing business that we soon will be losing, but I'm optimistic that that space will be turned over quickly. Another business that unfortunately we're losing in the near future is Kenmar Antiques. Kenmar's been there about 10 or 12 years. An amazing, amazing destination store that pulls from throughout the Piqua community and well beyond that. The owner of that building will be completely rehabbing the building and moving his antique business that is located right now on the second floor down onto the first floor. And there's also a large quilting store with fabrics and all that kind of stuff, and that will be expanding bigger on the third floor where it is now. So we're losing Kenmar, which no doubt is a blow to downtown, but we will be getting an expanded quilting store as well as a different kind of antique store, more high-end type stuff. The former Bounce Back Studio has been purchased by another downtown business owner, and that will be turning over in the near future, and we're certainly hopeful that the 311 Draft House will have a new operator in the very near future. Moving on to special events, I placed at each of your places our 2022 calendar of events. We also will be mailing out a magnetic calendar of events so people can just stick it on their refrigerator and not miss a single thing in downtown Piqua. We also keep an updated list of all of our events, including any new additions at mainstreetpiqua.com. Encourage you to go on there and see that. The very first event of the year is coming up later this month. The Service Learning kids at Piqua High School are putting on a Light the Night Literacy Night in downtown. It'll be on Thursday, April the 21st from 6 to 8 p.m. And it is going to be a jam-packed event. The kids have actually created a story that they will be putting on large placards throughout the downtown, so you can go through and read the story with kids, and then we'll have some activities and games set up in front of the library, and that's kind of where it will all come to closure in front of the event. So this is a first-time event, and it is such a pleasure to work with our friends at Piqua High School. The next big event, as I mentioned earlier, is our Taste of the Arts event on Friday, May the 13th. I'm hoping May the 13th does not jinx us. This event is always blessed with a lot of liquid sunshine, and we are on bended knee that that will not happen this year. We have a very, very fun event scheduled. It's been 2 years since we've had a real Taste of the Arts event. So we have, of course, lots of street activities. We have 6 demonstrating artists, including a brush painting artist, a professor from Sinclair Community College that's coming in. John Giozzi, who does wood carving here from Piqua, will also be joining us. And we also have Mary Ellen Lang will be doing a jewelry demonstration. We have a lot of that scheduled. We've reached out to, we have right now 13 restaurants on the list. And we've made a couple of changes with that. And then we are also adding a beer booth as well this year, working with our soon-to-be downtown business Crooked Handle, as well as Moeller Brew Barn. Both will have beer at the event this year. We will be excluding the Main Street Kids Zone from the area where you can walk around with a beer, but we certainly know that people will understand that. It is going to be 5 to 9 p.m. With just jam-packed activities, and if anybody is interested in participating in terms of volunteerism, we are always looking for additional bodies to help with that. So we have about 9 people on the committee. All have been working since January to pull together this event for the Piqua community. There is no doubt that the city of Piqua spends a lot of money on these events, as evidenced by a later agenda item that you will be looking at. But we believe that these events are very important to the Piqua community. Stop for a moment and think about our community without events like Taste of the Arts or the Piqua Community Farmers Market or Christmas on the Green or the Horse Parade. It becomes a very boring community very quickly. Talking about the farmers market, we are back on the schedule for Thursdays from 3 to 6 on High Street in downtown. We'll start the Thursday before Memorial Day weekend, and we will continue all the way through the end of September. We have an open house next Wednesday evening in hopes of finding additional vendors. Right now we have 8 vendors that are committed for them, are full season vendors, and some of our popular vendors will be back again this year. While we're talking about the farmers market, I'd like to take this opportunity to share with you how the market really serves all residents of the community. We have 4 different programs that allow our community's economically challenged folks to use federal and state food benefits. The programs include the SNAP EBT, Produce Perks, WIC, also known as Women, Infant, Child, and the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Programs. As you can see from the statistics in front of you, all of these programs saw significant increases in 2021 over 2020. And we also, of course, allow folks to use credit cards at the farmers market. They can use market dollars, and that also had a very pretty significant increase, a 25% increase over last year. So not only is it a nice amenity for our community, have a farmer's market, people can hang out, but our citizens are really able to use that market just to stretch their food dollars by using SNAP EBT and the Produce Perks program, which allows folks to double their money when they swipe their food stamps card. So if you come in and you swipe your card for $25, we're able to match that $25. So it's a 2-for-1 deal with the Produce Perks program at the farmers market. So we know that we're making a big difference with our citizens in that as well, in that, of course, it is a nice amenity to have. We're also, of course, doing Third Thursdays again. That was a first-time event last year. Just was so much fun to bring citizens into the downtown. We have our June event, we're kind of looking at a community helpers type theme. We're going to have fire and police and all those kind of folks with us, as well as truck drivers and nurses, and just kind of celebrate the amazing work that they've done for us the last couple of years. In July, we will once again host the Civic Band, and a very neat activity will be a tie-in with the Johnston Farm this year, as there will be a special sort of living history presentation as a part of that July event. And August, well, we haven't planned that one yet. So as I mentioned before, our schedule of events is robust. It's pretty aggressive. But this is what makes our community special, and we're very, very proud of the events that we do. I will never forget last year at Third Thursday, we had Abraham Lincoln there at the July event. There was a little kid, I don't know, he was maybe 7 years old, and this kid is like flipping for Abraham Lincoln. He loves Abraham Lincoln. So the gentleman who was doing the history portrayal of Abraham Lincoln looked just like Abraham Lincoln, and he walked up, and this little kid's eyes were bigger than dinner plates. He thought he had gone to heaven, and he was talking to Abraham Lincoln about all the cool things that he did, you know, during his life. And it's moments like that. We also do a coloring contest as a part of our duck drop. And 2 years ago, the family that won the coloring contest, they're all homeschooled, they came to the farmer's market. We gave them the prize. The family of 4 kids, probably aged 10 or 12 and below, none of them had ever been to a movie theater. So we, at the time, were giving away a family pass to the movie theater. So this was an opportunity to really make this family's day. They had never been to a theater before. We were giving them popcorn and, you know, drinks, and, you know, you kind of need a loan to get all that anymore. But it was so cool that we were able to do that through something that we were doing with the downtown area. So we have events scheduled all the way from May until the Holly Jolly Run on December 10th. Downtown events are building traditions. They're what holds us together, what people think about the Piqua community. I'm here to admit that not every single event is going to ring every single person's bell, and it's not intended to. Some of them are family events, some of them adult events. We only have 2 events on our schedule that are actually ticketed events. So most of our activities are free for the entire community. So I also want to just share with you, take a quick plug. Main Street Piqua was obviously not the only community partner that creates events in our community. So please check out the Piqua Community Calendar at piquacommunitycalendar.com. That's a screenshot of this month, and you can submit your own event and get on there and use it as a resource in our community. Quick shout out to the Main Street Piqua Board of Trustees. They are all very hardworking. 16-member trustee board. We also have 3 staff people. Cecilia Stoller is the administrative assistant for Main Street Piqua. She is also the right-hand person and the whip cracker in the office to make sure everything gets done. Robin Hines takes care of our graphics and social media and marketing, and of course myself. We're always looking for volunteers to be a part of the Main Street program and offer that opportunity. Anybody can call us at the office or send us a message through the Facebook page or on our website at mainstreetpiqua.com to become involved in the program. So anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them at this time.
I think you're busy,
Yes, we are.
when we appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. It looks like you guys got a heavy agenda in front of you, and, you know, I can't wait to see the citizens of Piqua out there partaking in them. So great job this year lining this up.
Great, thank you. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Lorna.
Thank you, Lorna.
Next, we'll move on to the consent agenda, and we have 8 items tonight to go through.
Approval of the minutes from the March 1st, 2022 and March 15th, 2022 Piqua Commission meetings.
I'll take a motion for the approval of, or, how do we?
Is it the whole consent agenda
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
we're
the whole
approving?
consent
I make a
agenda.
motion, we approve the whole consent agenda.
Second.
All those in, or moved and seconded, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I do have a appreciation, though, that I need to read for Chip Fox, or Kent
It's Joe, yeah.
Chip. Is Chip with us tonight?
No.
I'll read the resolution here. A resolution of appreciation for the public service of Chip B. Fox as a city employee. Whereas Chip Fox has retired as a golf pro with the city of Piqua, and whereas his retirement follows 18 years of faithful and dedicated service to the city and its citizens. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Commission of the City of Piqua, Miami County, Ohio, all members elected thereto concurring that Section 1, in recognition and appreciation of public service of Chip B. Fox with the City of Piqua, this commission tenders its unanimous and respectful tribute by the resolution which shall be a matter of public and permanent record. Section 2, this resolution shall take effect and be enforced from after the earliest period allowed by law. Signed by Thomas Fote, Mayor.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
A second.
An ordinance amending trees, weeds, and vines, section 91.35 through 91.38 of chapter 91 nuisances of the Piqua Code of Ordinances.
Mr. Smeezing.
Good evening, Commissioners. At long last, spring is almost here, which means that it's time for grass to be mowed. And what you have here this evening is a proposed amendment to the existing ordinance that speaks to the requirement that lawns be maintained and cared for properly, that is mowed and kept beneath 8 inches in height. The ordinance amendment that you have in front of you, if approved, will amend the sections of Chapter 91, which pertain to the required trimming or removal of trees and weeds and vines. Specifically, the proposed amendments include a public notice provision that's intended to expedite the process of abating nuisance conditions caused by overgrown grass and noxious weeds. Yep. And secondly, a fee structure intended to offset the expenses incurred by the city of Piqua to respond to the complaints and administer the contractual services necessary to trim and remove trees and weeds and vines when they're overgrown and not being cared for. In a typical year, we'll spend anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 responding to high grass complaints primarily, and hiring contractors to respond to that. And I should clarify, that amount is just what we spend for the contractor to respond to it. That doesn't include the staff time when we engage a summer help to go out and measure the height of the grass and respond to the complaints. So what this resolution will do is really allow us to be more efficient in that process. There'd be one public notice at the beginning of each year or each mowing season, and that would serve as the public's notice that grass needs to be maintained and kept beneath the 8-inch maximum height allowance. If we receive complaints from there, an individual goes out, measures it. If it's above 8 inches, we call the lawn service that we would have on retainer, so that they would come out and clear the site in a timely manner so that the condition doesn't continue to drag on for an extended period of time. So it's a pretty straightforward amendment that we've proposed. The text, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. The fee structure, again, it's really designed to capture the cost that we incur to perform this service. So between the inspector's time and then the contracted services, the fee would be twice the amount that we're billed by the contracted service provider, plus a $100 administrative fee. So that's the cost of administering it, the cost of paying them, the cost of carrying the debt obligation if we end up having to put a lien on the property, and so on and so forth. And so that's what you have in your packet. I would ask two things. Given that the grass mowing season is upon us, I would like the commission to consider waiving the 3 reading rule for this item. And secondly, we were reviewing some sections of the code earlier today and realized that there is another item in here that would be helpful to amend. And it's in the Section A, if you're looking at the exhibit under Section 9135, Section A. And it references the clear height required for the trimming of tree limbs to be 10 feet from the lowest branch to the street elevation. That really should be 15 feet, and that's to accommodate delivery trucks, UPS trucks, box trucks, and so on and so forth. So we would ask to amend the resolution or ordinance to reflect 15 feet from the lowest branch height to the street or alley surface, and 10 feet from the lowest branch height to the sidewalk surface.
How much did we bill last year for, how much did we spend, actually, to mow people's grass and cut things down?
The
That
number I
listed?
received from finance was, I believe last year was approximately 10,000. A prior year had been closer to 14,000.
And how much did we recoup after we charged people?
That I don't have. I don't have that information with me.
Doesn't that get assessed to the taxes?
Yeah, if we send the bill, and if the individual or the property owner doesn't remit payment, it ends up going onto the property as an assessment every August when we submit those.
Yeah. You know, and I'm glad to, you know, that as the city staff continues to work through these issues and we're refining these ordinances, and finding out that our fees are totally offset compared to where they should be at, you know, this will really help, you know, shore the city up where it needs to be at in accordance with all the other towns that are around us. Understanding for so long that, you know, our administration has been going out and doing these jobs and we've not been able to collect that time or collect that fee for them to go out and do that. It's kind of shot ourselves in the foot. I'm glad to see that the city staff's, you know, really getting on top of this, and we're going to start looking at these fees with a fine-tooth comb and a magnifying glass. So I do appreciate that. And I do agree with you on the first reading to go ahead and waive that. And I'll ask for a motion on that, provided that there's not any other questions, and we can get this ordinance moving along.
I have just a comment. Obviously, we're updating a lot of our code right now, which has needed it for a long time. And I know every year we go through this. I was driving through my ward today, and I continue to see, and I know this goes along with our wastewater, people blowing grass into the street. And I literally saw one of our lawn companies doing it right in front of me. And I don't know if, I know we address it every year, and I know it's kind of a hassle because we have to call them, but just to to make sure that they're aware that it's an issue for our sewer system, yeah.
Motorcycle ride.
And motorcycle ride, it's dangerous, so I'm not sure, I know I'm speaking to the choir here, but.
You are.
Yeah, but somehow if we can put something out, I don't know, over social media, just reminding people. And I will make sure your office has the name of the person that I saw, just so we know that we're connecting with all those landscapers, so. Because there's a lot out there, and many of them do a great job, but there are, every once in a while, there's somebody doing that, so. I'll make a motion to waive the 3 reading rule.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll take a motion to approve ordinance number O-2-22.
I got a question real quick. The change, will that be reflected in Section A to 15 feet?
If it's the commission's pleasure, I would ask that you make the motion, including the amendment, to reflect
Okay.
the 15-foot height, yes.
That's what I want to do. So we can make that motion, including that, okay. Then go right ahead. Someone,
Do we want to see if we have any public comment?
yeah. Yes.
Any public comment, questions, concerns in regard to ordinance number O-2-22? With no questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve with the amendments and mention.
Second.
Moved and seconded, and with this being an ordinance, we do need a roll call on this.
Commissioner Hines,
Aye.
Commissioner Lee,
Aye.
Commissioner Pearson,
Aye.
Mayor Fote.
Aye. Motion carries. Next, we have ordinance number O-3-22.
An ordinance amending discharge prohibitions, section 51.17, and wastewater service fees, section 51.81 of Chapter 51 Sewers of the Piqua Code of Ordinances.
Good evening. Here to make a couple changes in these two ordinances, these two sections. They're very simple. The 5117 is going to add that with the city manager and utilities director approval, we will be able to accept and charge for septic haulers to dump at the wastewater treatment plant. This was taken out 5 years ago, and now with the new facility and our capacities, and we feel we could handle this again. And we were approached by a city company showing interest in this, so we're gonna make it happen for them. And we've already vetted the process. We've taken some samples of their waste. We're with the rate and fee structure coming up in the next month or two, we're exploring what fee we want to have on it going forward. So we got a good backbone to go off of. We've been checking out some other cities and municipalities, what they're charging. And so the addition of that statement in the 5117 and the deleting of the two sections in 5181 will allow us to do this going forward. I would also like to waive the additional readings if you guys are good with that.
Any questions from the commissioners? Any questions from the citizens?
The base charges per month won't change anything in this at all, right?
So how we're gonna do this is, each truck for this company, they have about 5 trucks, we're gonna give them a key card, like you guys have to get in the building, and when they come through our gate, they will swipe, and that's how we will tally how many trips they make in a month, and we'll bill them off of the size of those vehicles.
Okay.
So there'll be a standard rate per 1,000 gallons. If they bring a 650-gallon truck, we'll prorate it, so that'll all be spelled out in the fees going forward.
No questions here.
Any other questions? With no questions, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance, is an ordinance, right?
Yeah, it's an ordinance. We need to, are we gonna waive the 3 reading rule on this?
I make a motion, we waive the 3 reading rule on ordinance number O-3-22.
Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And now we'll take a motion to approve ordinance number O-3-22.
I'll make a motion, we approve ordinance number O-3-22.
Second. And we will need a roll call for this.
Mayor Fote,
Aye.
Commissioner Pearson,
Aye.
Commissioner Lee,
Aye.
Commissioner Hines.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we have ordinance number O-4-22. First reading.
An ordinance repealing existing Chapter 33 of enacting a new Chapter 33 of the Piqua Code relating to employee policy.
Good evening, Commissioners. This policy is an amendment to Chapter 3304, Section B only. The primary reason that we're bringing this before you this evening is a recruitment and sourcing tool for other public employees. We believe that the city desires to remain our competitive edge as an employer of choice in the local area. And part of what we've observed in the recent year or two is that our accrual benefit is not on par internally with the bargaining units nor externally with our public neighbors. So we would ask that you give consideration to amend Section B, the accruals only, for 3304. I would also ask that you consider waiving the second and third readings this evening.
Any questions from the commissioners?
How out of whack are we with competing cities?
I'm sorry?
How out of comparison?
2 weeks. Our comparables offer up to 5 weeks of accrual, and internally, our bargaining units are able to accrue up to 5 weeks of vacation leave based on their public service. So there is a tier in place. After 8 years, your accrual bumps, after 15 years, and after 25 years. But that tier is condensed for our non-bargaining employees, where they max at 3 years of, or that would be great, 3 weeks of vacation accrual regardless of the years of service.
Any other questions?
Yes. How does this sit with, in comparison to our bargaining units, the police and fire unions and whatnot?
Yeah, they are already
Already there.
awarded the 5 weeks, yeah, based on years of service.
Any more questions? Any questions from the citizens? With no questions, I will entertain a motion to waive the 3 reading rule.
I'll make a motion to waive the 3 reading rule.
Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now I'll entertain a motion to approve the ordinance.
Make a motion, we approve ordinance number O-4-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll need a roll call on this one as well.
Commissioner Pearson?
Aye.
Commissioner Lee?
Aye.
Mayor Fote?
Aye.
Commissioner Hines?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we're moving on to resolution number R-30-22.
A resolution authorizing use of city funds and resources to support community special events.
Good evening. As Lorna mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, special events play a vital role in our Piqua community in bringing consumers to our local businesses. So throughout the last few months, we've been evaluating our special event approval process and evaluating the city funds and resources that are utilized to assist with these events. In front of you, you have Exhibit A, which is a quick snapshot of approximately how much it costs per event with the various departments that assist with these events. And that just basically shows labor and equipment use. Throughout the year, we're hopeful through workflows and appropriate tracking that we can get you more solid numbers on how much it actually costs per event. The first 2 line items are fully funded by the city of Piqua and are free to the community. And the rest of the items are what we assist throughout the year. So what we're looking for tonight is just for your approval to utilize these funds and resources throughout the year for these special events so that they can continue to be successful the way that they have in the past. Some of these events, the numbers are coming from 2020, but if they didn't happen in 2021, because of COVID issues, then the prices are coming from 2019, before COVID hit us.
So I'm gonna ask, is there a contingency built into this number with us drawing numbers from 2019?
These numbers were provided from the directors of those departments, so I'm assuming so. I'm not exactly sure how they calculated some of these numbers.
Well, and I have to say, looking over some of these events, I think that some of them have been tweaked as we move on into 2022. And I know, for example, the beer run is now happening in Tip City, so we will not incur any fees for that. I also believe the Winans to Winans, the half marathon is changing to a Riverway marathon, and I don't know how much of Piqua is in that. I've not seen the race map. It's all here. It starts here and goes to, is it on the bike path the whole way? Yeah, so it's on the bike path the whole way. So that will change some of those street closings and things like that. So just looking at this, I know some of these events have either changed or been morphed into something else.
Yeah, I kept those on there just in case, they do come back.
It'd be great to have the beer run back.
So can we review this yearly? I mean, is this something that's going to be set in stone that we're going to do every time?
That's the goal.
With more solid numbers, I'd feel more comfortable with a yearly, like at the beginning of the year, having last year's numbers, and then looking it over and saying, yeah, we'll provide.
That's the goal, is to have this in front of you before the end of the year, so that it's for the next year. And eventually getting this into a fund that's a special event fund instead of coming out of what it's currently doing through each department. Any
other questions from the commissioners? Any questions from the citizens?
With no questions, I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve resolution number R-30, 30-22.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have resolution number R-31-22. This is Chris Smeezing.
A resolution approving the renewal application for placement of farmland in an agricultural district filed by James A. Heigel for parcel number N44-095820 in the city of Piqua.
Thank you. This application request actually pertains to 3 parcels, 2 of which are located outside the city limits, but for all intent and purposes, the tract of land, you would recognize it as one. So the 4-acre piece is inside the city limits is what prompts the action necessary this evening. Mr. Hagel has requested of the county auditor that this be recognized as land devoted exclusively to the use of farm operations, which under the state of Ohio makes them eligible for the CAUV recognition, which significantly lessens the tax burden that the farming operation might otherwise incur. So because a piece of it's in the city limits, the item has to come before City Commission for you all to acknowledge it before the county can take the formal action necessary.
Chris, is this something that, I feel like he's had a farm there before. I know it was where the solar field is. Did he have anything there before and then it was no longer, and is that why we have to do this?
No, actually, this is, there's land that's closer to Drake Road that's not part of the solar farm.
So this is,
And so
okay,
this is totally separate and unrelated.
That was
from the
never
land that was
farmed?
previously used. This has always been farmed.
okay.
The previous requests probably were a much larger area than 108
I
acres.
got it. So we're doing the smaller, that
Right,
makes
So now
sense.
you subtract out the solar farm, and this is what's left.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Any questions from the citizens? With no questions, I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve resolution number R-31-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have resolution number R-32-22. Mr. Grazer will be presenting this one.
A resolution authorizing a purchase order to Engineered Floors LLC for the purchase and installation of new carpet on the first floor of the municipal government building.
Yes, Commission, I'd like to, this is basically a continuation of what we did last year of replacing the carpet on the second floor, basically using the same company with a state bid, which is through Cooperative Purchasing Alliance. So we're basically going to just be replicating what we did last year on the second floor to take care of the police department as well. So it came in, it was budgeted for $98,000 and came in at $79,000. We're requesting your approval for this work. We're also doing painting on the first floor, which we're doing right now, and that should be completed within the next 30 days. And then we'll move on to carpeting, hopefully by sometime in May is when we're hope to have that taken care of.
Any questions from the commissioners?
Was this budgeted?
Yes.
I like that we're doing carpet tiles. Those are very helpful.
Nice. Long wear and tear.
How much attic stock are we going to have of these carpet tiles by chance?
I'm sorry?
How much attic stock will we have of these carpet tiles?
So we had about 8 boxes between the commission and the second floor. We'll have basically enough to take care of anything we'll need for any damage that we may have. So we'll have some leftovers, and we'll have a little bit. We're also going to be doing the elevators in LVT. We'll be doing some other changes in the UBO office and also in the PD for just a little bit more workable spaces. It'll have a little bit more durability in some of those places. So we're making some changes as well to try to bring the building up to a little bit better serviceable material.
Great, thank you. I know it's great to see the city building being updated. What is it, 20 years old?
21, yeah.
And we're
21 now, yeah.
We're putting some updates into it, so I'm glad to see that that's happening. Absolutely. Thank you for your work on that.
Thank you.
No questions from the citizens or from the commissioners. I will entertain a motion.
I move that we adopt Resolution R-32-22.
Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Next, we have resolution number R-33-22, and this will be presented by Ms. Bogan.
A resolution retaining the services of USI to Approved Health Insurance Consulting Services for the city of Piqua.
Thank you. Good evening. The city made a thoughtful decision to request proposals for an insurance broker. After many years with our current provider, we received 6 formal responses to our RFP, and we advanced 4 for in-person presentations. USI has been identified as our broker of choice for the city. They plan to partner, and we do have representatives here this evening, by the way. Katie and Susan are both here from USI. It's our intent to partner with this insurance broker to make strategic gains in health insurance and cost management. Their current proposal includes a fee of $33,000 a year plus commission for all ancillary benefits for the next 3-year period. USI uses a model of efficiency, and we're confident that they will partner with us to enhance our services and technical resources for the same commissions that we've paid previously. USI offers a full-service, team-oriented approach, and we're confident, again, that they can make strategic efforts and gains with us to manage our increased healthcare costs, while what's important to me specifically as HR director, to retain a lean, agile, and well-paid workforce while being cost-conscious.
You said there are 4 proposals?
There were 6 responses to our
4 in person?
RFP, and we advanced 4.
I didn't see any of those proposals in this. I didn't see any of the other ones listed. I know you just selected the one, but
We received proposals from Haran, McGowan Brabender, USI, Assured Partners, NSP, and the 6th one is escaping me, Chris. It's a smaller firm.
worry about it.
I'm sorry I didn't include that.
That's all right.
Can you send that out to us for review?
Yeah, of course.
Please. Thank
Yeah.
you. Are there any questions from the commissioners?
Would you guys like to speak? The representatives? Yeah, come on up. Just introduce yourself.
Hope this doesn't screech when I bring it down.
I hope not.
So I'm Susan Stockman. So I've been with USI for 13 years. I've been in the industry for over 30 years. Don't judge. So what I would say is we're very excited, very excited. And Katie and I, it's one of those where we gathered a lot of information. So we're very excited to get our hands dirty because we have a lot of ideas and a lot of solutions that we think that we can bring to the table that's gonna help the city. So we're very excited, and we welcome the opportunity to work with you guys.
Yep, I'm Katie Jackamett. I've been with USI for 5 years. I live here in Piqua, so I'm very vested in the community. I don't think you can go very far and not see a Jackamett around Piqua.
That's for sure. I was going to say.
So Susan and I partner together. I would say that USI is innovative and transparent, and those are really our 2 pillars.
Love it.
And I think that you'll see a lot of positive changes. So Catherine and Paul, very forward-thinking, and I think that we'll have a good partnership. So our goal is to continue for a 3-year period and see positive effect that we can build on each year that we partner together.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
How many other
Like your
municipalities have you guys worked with? Or has USI worked with, excuse me?
Yeah, USI, we're a national firm. We work with well over 1,000 municipalities. And that's part of our value prop, is that we don't just look locally to see what your immediate neighbors are doing, but we look nationally to see where the best practices, where we can leverage our size and bring those best practices and ideas to our clients here. So we have clients all over the local community, but we're going to look and pull from national perspective and resources that you guys can benefit from here.
I love you guys' energy. Thank you.
I have 2 other municipalities. They range from 1,100 to 100. So, again,
Right.
I have 2 of the 1,000+ of USI has. But it's nice though, because if I have a question, I can literally send out an email. It's like a chat room. They can tell me exactly what I should be doing or not be doing, or what I've heard of. So there's a lot of odds and ends, I would say, that some people don't understand or don't know. So it's kind of nice because we get that. We know that, so I'm dealing with that with one of my other groups. So it's because it's municipality, other carriers don't understand what they can and cannot do, but we know that and we keep track of that.
All righty.
Great,
Thank you, guys.
That's
Thank you
great.
for having
Taking
us.
care of our
Yep.
employees, that's
Yep.
important, so.
Yeah, it is
thank
important.
you.
Yes.
I would tell you, not being a citizen from here, the things that you guys are doing and the things that you talked about, I was like, wow, I need to come up here.
Yeah, come visit.
So, yes,
Welcome.
absolutely.
We have houses available.
Yeah, we do.
They go quick though,
coming.
so.
That's right, they do go
Come on.
quick.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Catherine, was it Haran that we had last year? Is that who we had before?
Yes.
Okay, so price-wise, just because I know we didn't have the other quotes in here, and I'm sure that they were very competitive, et cetera. So what did we pay last year to Haran?
33,000.
There you go.
They
Okay.
matched us, which
Yeah.
I was thrilled. I mean, just the integrity behind that proposal said a lot.
Perfect, yeah. And I'm,
So they're stepping into, you know, as Susan and Katie both mentioned, you know, they did request quite a bit of data prior to their presentation. So they understand the depth and the direction that we want to go. There's a lot of work to be done, and the fact that they're meeting us where we are with the money, I think is fantastic.
well, and that's great for the
33K.
citizens to hear, that it's the
Right.
same thing we were paying before, which is
Right.
what I had assumed, so well done. Good,
All right.
great.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the citizens? With no questions, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve resolution number R-33-22.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next on the agenda is resolution. Wow, I just lost it.
34.
R,
34.
where'd it go? R-34-22. My eyes went crossed up here for a minute, and that'll be presented by Mr. Krieger.
A resolution awarding a contract for the purchase of LED streetlights for the power system.
Thank you. So the power system operates and maintains the city's approximately 3,000 streetlights. Over the last 10 or so years, we've begun a process to convert the existing high-pressure sodium lights to more energy-efficient LED technology. You can't go far without hearing LED. Everyone knows what LEDs are. They're everywhere. They use a fraction of the energy of their previous counterparts, and they do a much better job. They're a much better engineered product in terms of light placement. As you go through the city, we've already converted about 25% of the city's lights. We started with the major corridors, the higher wattage fixtures, and over the years, as what often happens with manufactured products, you end up getting more for less. And when we started down this path in the 2008, 2009, the fixtures that we're talking about tonight were over $800 a piece. Today, you can get them for less than $200. So don't ever like to be on the bleeding edge of technology. It makes sense to enter at the right time. I feel good about where we're at. Our plan is to complete the conversion of all the remaining city street lights to LED technology by the end of 2023. This legislation will allow us to do an additional approximately 1,000 street lights, and then we'll look at a similar size project next year to complete the conversion of all of our city street lights to LED. As you drive through the city, you can see pretty easily what's LED and what's not. The new LED lights are the white lights. The old high-pressure sodium are the yellow lights. One of the things that we're working on right now, and we have purchase orders out to complete, is the retrofitting of all the ornamental lights. And once we receive the final order of that, these retrofit kits are like a lot of things. It's taking a while to get things in, but we're hoping to get the last of those in here in the next month or so, and then we can complete the conversion of all the ornamental lights downtown. And then this order has a 10-week lead time, and so our staff would install these lights in-house, and we would start that in the summer and probably complete it in the fall. This legislation and recommendation was made to Piqua City Commission by our Piqua Energy Board at our February 22nd meeting unanimously to move forward with this project.
Any questions from the commissioners?
No, I'm just glad that this is moving forward. I know our mayor stressed it a while back, a year ago or so. You stressed the need for this to be done, and it's great to see that it's getting done.
Yeah,
I
the
agree
timing
with you.
of the mayor's questions were great because we really dove back in, looked at the numbers, and really just in the last year or two, the tipping point has changed. So it makes a lot of sense to get in here
Yep.
and get this project done. So we're excited about it for sure.
All right.
It's also nice to see that we budgeted 250,000 and we're only using 200,000, so that's nice to see that. too.
200,000 for these lights.
Yeah.
We've used the other 50,000 is for the downtown ornamentals that we've already placed on order.
Okay,
So
okay.
we're going to use our budget up this year,
Okay.
and I would expect a similar budget for next year. But the other thing, when you look at the bids we received, it's really interesting to see is that we're going to be getting the same lumen output fixtures that we're installing now. We're basically buying two different size fixtures, and they're going to be a lower wattage than what we've bought the last 2 years. So,
Nice.
so more energy savings, and this really is a positive impact to every customer that buys electricity for the city, because the energy that's consumed by the city street lights are basically paid for everyone that has an electric bill. So by doing this, we're going to buy less electricity, which saves everyone money.
Absolutely.
That's great.
It's a good move. And, you know, and I'm excited to see it go in. You know, I pay attention to it on a regular basis, especially because of the light wash. You know, driving through the communities that have the new LEDs in them, the light wash is 100% change compared to the sulfur bulbs that are out there. And even the reflection that comes into people's homes has completely changed with the LEDs that went into those neighborhoods, vice the ones that haven't. So I greatly appreciate you and your staff and you guys getting on top of this thing. One of the questions we're asking, starting to move this project forward. Thank you very much. If there are no other questions from the commissioners, I'll entertain any questions from the citizens. With no questions, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Seconded?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next on the agenda, we have resolution number R-35-22, and this will be presented by Mr. Smeezing.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with the River Corridor Improvement Subdistrict of the Miami Conservancy District to participate in the Great Miami River Coalition.
Thank you. This request is to authorize the City of Piqua to enter into an agreement to continue participating in the Great Miami Riverway Coalition. The agreement, nuts and bolts, really boil down to a 5-year funding commitment at $12,000 a year for the next 5 years, totaling $60,000 in its entirety. I would just point out that through the Riverway, since 2008, actually, all the communities along the Great Miami Riverway corridor have been convening annually for a river summit. And there's a lot of really good inspiration and discussion, case studies, and information shared that has, I think, had a significant impact in allowing every community to advance the conversation about the importance of leveraging what we have in this terrific natural asset that is the river, not only for quality of life experiences, but also for advancing economic development efforts and community development efforts. So in 2017, the group formalized into the Great Miami Riverway Coalition, and we ran through our first 5-year commitment period, and there were some significant things that were accomplished. We have with us this evening Dan Foley, who is the Executive Director of the Riverway, and I'm going to ask him to share a little bit with us about what all has happened. But we're now entering into the next 5-year commitment period, and I would certainly say that from where I sit, the city has greatly benefited from our involvement and participation in the Riverway, and would love to see us continue. Dan, would you mind saying a few words?
Well, good evening, Commissioners and Mayor and City Manager. And also want to say thanks to Chris. I want to say that the Riverway has also benefited from Piqua involvement. I know we had our Riverway Summit last week, and the keynote speakers of that were people that Chris met. Chris was the first, I think, person in our region to meet the keynote speakers. They're the Whalen Group, and they were the company that did the downtown plan for the riverfront plan for Piqua. And the beauty of this is that when they did that, probably because of Chris, but also because they were curious about other communities, they've now done the plan for downtown Sydney, and they're doing some work in downtown Dayton, in areas of the community, frankly, in Dayton that haven't seen development in a while. So I just want to say thanks to Chris because, I think that example is something that I hope that we have done, but also will continue to do, and that's to try to bring what Chris did for the rest of us. I hope that we can try to continue to bring new interest in projects that the city cares about. And I'm as Commissioner Hines said, the term preaching to the choir, I think I'm preaching to the choir because when I just Googled real quick, and I pay attention to this stuff because I'm biased. I want to see investment on the river. But with the 10 million, with the Lock 9 development, with the new YMCA facility, the Crooked Handle initiative that's going to go into the Piqua Granite Building, the Kettering Health facility on 75, that's $30 million. And I just bought my new favorite pair of running shoes on Saturday at Can't Stop Running. So I think this is working. I think it works better when we do this stuff together as opposed to separately. And I just want to say thanks to the city for considering another 5 years. I think we have real good opportunities. Thank you.
We've got good things going on, so
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Share it.
Thank
Thank
Mr.
you.
Foley. There any questions from the commissioners? Any questions or comments from the citizens? With nothing from them, I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve resolution number R-35-22.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next on the agenda, we have resolution number R-36-22, and this is by Mr. Smeezing as well.
A resolution to establish the Piqua Economic Development Fund.
Thank you. This is an item that we have discussed for a little time now, and it's an area where we've kind of lagged behind our peer communities throughout the region and across the state of Ohio. A lot of communities have been very successful in utilizing an economic development revolving loan fund to really enhance their ability to be competitive in the business retention and expansion and attraction marketplace. So the purpose of this would be to ask the City Commission to authorize allowing us to set up this economic development fund, which I just shortened the terminology there, but an economic development RLF. And we would do so by allocating $500,000 in each of this year and next year's budgets to that fund. And in doing so, we would put ourselves in a position to be much more competitive with our surrounding communities and when it comes to business attraction opportunities, but also to be able to support the needs of our existing small businesses. And I say small businesses, everything from Main Street to 250, 300 employees is technically defined as a small business. So our Main Street shops could participate in these programs that we would offer through the Economic Development Fund, as well as our larger employers. So it would give us a tool that we need to really be responsive to the needs of our business community, be it existing businesses or businesses that are looking to grow and expand that have been here, or businesses that maybe are attracted to the community and there's a gap in their financing that they need to be able to execute the project. So the purpose of the fund would really be to bring the assistance necessary to those projects that will be the most impactful in terms of allowing for the continued growth and expansion, increase in city income taxes and job creation that comes with that. And so this tool is something that I think is very much needed, and I'm excited that we're in a position where we're able to consider this. I could run through this in a great level of detail, but I won't do that. I'm sure, it's in the packet. I know you've had a chance to look at it. But just a high-level overview of the program, because I know this is new and it's something, we've discussed a little bit, but for the sake of the community, just to make sure that we're being totally upfront and everybody understands what this is about. The way it's structured is this would give us a loan tool, and again, it's primarily functioning as a gap financing tool, and gap's a little bit misleading in my mind because folks usually think of that as the last piece of the financing, and it may very well be that in most cases, but sometimes the gap is there is no traditional alternative. So it's the first piece of the financing or the only piece of the financing because if not for the Economic Development Revolving Loan Fund, the project wouldn't happen. And if you look at the project and deem it important enough in terms of advancing the goals of the community, in terms of repurposing vacant buildings or revitalization of a neighborhood or the continued growth of a longstanding business, those are things that we need to also measure as we're looking at the eligibility or the need of the business that might be asking for this. So in this document, you'll see some framework for how we would administer the program, the general terms and the use of the funds for fixed assets, non-fixed assets, pre-development cost, all those things that businesses from time to time need to spend dollars on to be able to execute their business plan. And we go through here and we provide a set of eligibility requirements. We limit the number of times that an entity can participate in the program in any given 5-year period, although we also provide language there that the City Commission can override that if they think it's warranted. Maybe it's a multi-phase project and it's going to extend over 5 years, and it makes perfect sense to let them participate more than twice in that period. And then you go on and there's some exclusions. So there's some things that this very much is not intended to support. And so, refinancing of existing debts, for example, is not something that this is geared towards. Financing projects that really can't demonstrate an ability to repay the money. Again, the whole purpose here is to have a pool of funds that can be loaned out on specific terms, repaid in a timely fashion, and then we can reloan that money. So it's revolving and continuing to go out and support the community and really instigate these kind of things that we want to see more of. So, the preferences of the program are broad, but it's really focusing on things that redevelop vacant, foreclosed, or underutilized sites and buildings, but not necessarily exclusive to that. It's targeting projects that beautify the community, enhance properties on the National Register, and also the needs of businesses or other projects that are advancing the goals and objectives of the city in terms of our comprehensive plan or our economic development strategies, and certainly job creation and economic expansion is a big part of that. And so the way we would administer it, what's proposed here, is that we would set up an economic development incentive committee. And this was intentional because we actually intend to use this body to administer or provide oversight of all of our economic development incentive tools, right? So not just this program, but if we're having discussion down the road, say we were to annex a large swath of land and there ended up being a post-94 community reinvestment area, which requires that there be some negotiated incentives, this body would also provide some be a sounding board to provide recommendations for those type of items. So you can see the list there. It's the city commission, a city commissioner, the city manager, finance director, myself, Piqua Chamber president, the Main Street executive director, Piqua Improvement Corporation chair or vice chair, Piqua City School superintendent, and Upper Valley Career Center superintendent, which is important because the school districts are the most impacted oftentimes by incentives when we do economic development strategies. So we want to make sure they have a seat at the table. And then 2 at-large community members appointed by that committee. So those folks would provide the initial review. The staff would do a fair amount of legwork, but then that group is the group that would come together and really evaluate what's being requested and make a recommendation on whether or not it meets the objectives of the program and whether or not it has merit to be moved forward and actually loan the money. And loaning the money, all this would be contingent upon the best practices that you would expect of a program like this. So applications are, the program's designed and intended to be fairly straightforward and provide a certain level of ease of use or access, but it doesn't mean that we're not going to do the things that are appropriate and prudent when you're managing this kind of dollars. So financial statements and financial history, all those sorts of documents, collateral, details about the project, information about a market study or analysis, the things that will help the committee understand whether or not the loan applicant will actually be able to pay the funds back. All that will be a part of the application process. And then likewise, the review process will have a set of standards that would be applicable. And if the committee can get to the point where they would recommend the loan, under $10,000, what's proposed here would be done administratively. Above $10,000, it would require approval of the city commission before the loan could actually be executed. And every loan would be required to have a loan agreement, just as you would if you were getting it from a traditional lender. And it would have all the prerequisite details in terms of the required equity, interest rates, the terms, the closing fees and repayment requirements and all those things, late fee obligations and so on and so forth. So, and depending on the nature of the project, there's some different ways the money could be dispersed. The committee would look at that carefully to make sure maybe it makes sense if the loan applicant is the property owner, but it's a contractor who's actually performing the work. It's a check that's issued to the contractor, but it's a two-party signature requirement or something of that nature to make sure that the funds are actually getting to the proper entity and doing what they're supposed to be doing. And of course, some clawback provisions if there's a default on what the loan was intended to be. So that's probably more detail than I intended to delve into, but I thought it was important that we at least explain what we hope to do with this. And the next item on the agenda is relevant in that it's going to offset some of our general fund obligations, which is really what frees up the funds for us to be able to do this this year and next year.
Any questions from the commissioners?
Yes. Why just 2 at-large positions?
We looked at what other communities have done and how they've structured their committees that function in a similar capacity, and really that was kind of the norm. So that's where we came up with that.
All right. My fear is I want citizens to be involved. I want to be transparent, be open. If it's something that they approve and they know about, more citizens' involvement. And I understand why each and every person is listed on there should be on there, but I think it should be citizen-based as well, and maybe more than 2, but I understand that.
Yeah, and I would say the vast majority of these will come before City Commission in a public forum just like this, right? So the entire citizenry will have a great deal of opportunity to weigh in with any concerns they might have.
Well, then, if that's the case, then my second question is alleviated. Because I want to give people a chance, if things are coming up and they're above $10,000, I want to get the citizens' input. I want to hear back from my constituents, hey, you think that's okay? Or if they don't like it, then I want them to be able to say. But if it comes up in front of us, then it gives people a time and a chance to give input as to that. So I'm good with this. And
it was very intentional that we set it up that way.
that's smart, yes.
Absolutely. And, over the past few years that I've been sitting in the seat as a commissioner, now as a mayor, we've always heard this stuff being thrown at us. Well, look what Troy's doing, look what Sydney's doing. And this is that exact program that's helped bolster those downtown communities. So now I'm going to play the devil's advocate on this, and I'm going to set up here and say, hey, look, Piqua doing something that these communities are doing, so now we're going to start to grow like they did. So, that goes back to your administration putting this stuff together and getting out and doing the research. Granted, it's taken some time. The citizens need to understand that projects like this take time. It just don't happen overnight. Be glad that the cities continue to work on this. Now we've come to a resolution tonight. It's going to be voted on. More than likely, it's going to be approved. And now we're going to start becoming competitive with our neighbors to the south, our neighbors to the north, the east, and the west. Because all those communities have this in place. Now Piqua has it in place, and let's grow.
My thing is that I want people to give input. I mean, they sit and complain a lot, but I want to hear the input on these things. We're going to have the tool for them so that we can have the same thing that Troy and Sydney and these other towns do. They need to come up and give us some input as to what they think about that as well. So,
Absolutely. And there's a lot of forums that they'll be able to do that in.
Yep. Yep.
Town hall meetings.
Yep.
And these can be meetings that are spun off into our off meeting week when business isn't
Yep.
on our agendas. These meetings can be held when we're talking about those things as well. So I think the city's going to continue to grow, and as we change things from our seats up here, it's going to be an evolving process, and Pickwa's going to grow. Absolutely. It's taken some time. We've talked about it being primed. Now I think we're getting to that final primer button, and we're going to grow tremendously here pretty soon.
Yep.
I'm excited to see what's going to happen over the next 2 years.
It's coming.
So thanks to you and your city staff that's worked on this, Chris.
Thank you.
If there's no other questions from the commission, I'll entertain questions or comments from the citizens. With nothing from them, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have resolution number R-37-22, and I believe these last two are going to be presented by Mr. Smeezing as well.
A resolution to accept the Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund established under the American Rescue Plan Act.
As you all know, in 2021, Congress adopted the American Rescue Plan Act, affectionately referred to as ARPA, which included $65 billion, or $65 billion in recovery funds, I should say, for cities across the country. And subsequently, the U.S. Department of Treasury has provided guidance concerning the manner in which the ARPA funds can be used and how they can be applied within the community, subject to the reporting requirements that the legislation includes. So the final ruling issued by the U.S. Department of Treasury, after some jockeying and some alterations, included a provision that allows for a standard allowance for revenue loss of up to $10 million, which effectively allows the recipients to use that up to that amount to apply it for the delivery of government services with a substantially streamlined reporting requirement. As you all know, the allocation that Pickwa will receive over the course of 2 years is $2.234 million, and that's significantly less than the $10 million standard loss allowance that's provided for. And so by accepting the funds, utilizing that provision, it dramatically decreases the reporting requirements in terms of the funds. In doing so, it offsets the funds that would have otherwise been used for those obligations are now freed up, which means we can do other things with them, such as the previous item. So that is what this item is before you for. It's simply a matter of resolution to formally accept the ARPA funds using the provision under the revenue loss allowance so that we can receive the money and move forward.
Do we have a list of what we're doing with the funds so that citizens know?
Yeah, well, and so it's the conversation that we've had with you all and the direction that you've given us in terms of one of the items. I'm a little careful about how I would respond to that in terms of the U.S. Treasury rules are very specific that we're accepting these funds for government, the delivery of government services, which is what allows us to stay in that lane in terms of the reporting requirements. The general funds that it will free up, because we won't have to otherwise spend those general funds for those things that we would have delivering government services, will allow us to do some of the things that you've asked for, including an economic development revolving loan fund, a homeowner assistance program, which is still being designed and discussed, and perhaps some support of some capital projects that need nudge forward. And we've got some IT improvements that need to be executed within this building. So we've discussed the list with you all and vetted it with some partners and stakeholders in the community, and that will continue to come forward as each of those items are refined and details are more readily available.
Well, citizens are asking, so I want to make sure that they're aware
Yep.
of what the funds are. They ask me probably on a weekly basis, what are you guys doing with? I said, we haven't gotten them yet, but we're getting it. So we need to let people know what we are doing with it.
Yep.
So, and will that be listed somewhere, posted on a website somewhere or something?
Yeah, I think as
The
we
plans.
advance each of the programs that the funds are allowing us to implement, we can highlight the fact that it's by way of our receiving the ARPA funds that we're able to move forward with these programs. So we can generate a list and make that available.
Any other questions from the commissioners? No questions from the commissioners. Any questions from the citizens or comments? With nothing from there, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to adopt resolution number R-37-22.
Seconded. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have resolution, and the final resolution for this evening, R-38-22.
A resolution authorizing a capital improvement pass-through grant agreement for the Piqua Downtown Riverfront Improvements Project.
You'll recall, in the 133rd General Assembly of the State of Ohio, the City of Piqua received an appropriation of $150,000 to go towards the Lock 9 Park improvements. That's in addition to or different than the current request that we have submitted through PDAC, which is kicked up then to the State of Ohio legislators seeking an additional $350, which would take us to the total that we initially asked for when we received the $150. But what you have here is the initial $150 that has been authorized, and what we need to do is execute an agreement with ODNR, who facilitates the delivery of those funds. So this resolution authorizes us to execute that agreement so that we can receive those funds. This $150, in addition to the other funding sources that we've assembled, will allow us to go forward with the phase 1 of the Lock 9 Park improvements. We've got the bid documents just about cleaned up and ready to roll. That should be out for bid here. We're aiming for next week. And then we'll have bids back late April, early May, and hopefully have an item before you in May, and then get a contract signed so we can get a contractor started early this summer. Once they get rolling, and then there'd be a phase 2, we go forward with bidding phase 2. We're really close on the funding needed for that section. We think we can close that gap, perhaps with some foundations and community support. If we don't quite get there between bidding it and what we're able to raise, we'll know specifically where we land and what we need if we're going to proceed, which is certainly the intention that once we get started, we'll keep going forward with the second phase and finish it all. The amount of work or the scope of work would probably result in an early completion in 2023. I don't know if you've been by recently, but there's obviously a lot of activity on the Crooked Handle Brewing project. The interior looks completely different already just with the demolition work. And they're very excited to see, of course, the Lock 9 Park improvements move forward, as is RCS, who's doing the townhomes on the Bayman used car lot site. They're aiming to start demolition there this month and break ground shortly thereafter. So those two projects, in addition to the project that Winans has underway and the stuff that Miami Valley Equity Group is doing across the street, there's a lot of progress and a lot of things starting to happen, which is really exciting, including the Lawson's project down on the square. Brandon Vergolito and VSF Investments property at Piqua Arts and Innovation Center, and the list goes on. So there's this public investment is triggering a lot of private activity. Yep. So it's a good thing.
Absolutely. Are there any questions from the commissioners? Any questions from the citizens or comments? With no questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
Did somebody?
Wait a
Oh, I
minute.
think somebody
Wait a
had
minute.
something.
Yes.
Yes.
I just want to say, it's obvious, I moved here 20 years ago, and
Why don't you step up?
Can you come up and introduce yourself,
Yeah.
please?
Can you come up and,
That's all right.
Right.
I'm Wayne Pope, owner of Susie's Big Dipper downtown.
Awesome.
Also a resident of downtown.
Yeah.
And I moved here 20 years ago. And much of this stuff has been talked about for years and years and years and hasn't happened. And now if people just come down and look, they can see it's starting to happen.
I agree.
And so much more of it's coming. And we just appreciate it.
Great, thank
Well,
you.
thanks. I appreciate you saying that. Thanks, Wayne.
Wendy Gregerson. I own the Mercantile. I own the business and the building. It's great. I appreciate hearing from Chris and from everybody else the good things. But one of the things that and I know it's probably being worked on behind the scenes, but if you go down our main street, we have no shopping. And I know maybe Code Pickwa might address that, but hair salons, tattoo parlors, barber shops, law offices, nothing against any of them, but they do not promote the foot traffic that we need to support our restaurants and our other businesses. It is nothing like the town used to be when we had all these shopping places. So I'd really ask for you guys to help us out here, because I don't plan on going anywhere. I want the Mercantile to stay open. But if we don't have foot traffic, we will not support any of these new endeavors. So, and with the revolving loan thing, I think if we reach out to people that are coming and say, if there's anything we can do to help you, let us know. Give them a number to call, a person to contact. I really want to see it go. And if I could buy another building in town, I would. And I'd open another store. So I'm with you all, and I thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And you made a comment about stuff being worked on behind the scenes. And you're 100% correct. There's a ton of stuff being worked on behind the scenes. There's been a few conversations, and I don't want to go in depth into them, but there's been a few conversations that have been had where there's going to be some certain people that are within the city that are going to be going out and spending time with other business owners outside of our community to talk to them about coming to Pickwa. And start to invest their dollars here. So, I greatly appreciate a business owner coming up here and saying that, because that lets me know that we're on the right path and putting these committees together to get them to go out to these other committees and get those investors and bring them here. Because if you guys are seeing it and we're seeing it, that means everybody's on the same path and we're moving in the right direction. So I greatly appreciate that. And the commission's going to continue to work as hard as they can to bring businesses to town, and it's these programs that we're talking about tonight. It's Pickwa Main Street, it's the chamber, it's all those entities that are working together to make this happen. So, I think there's a lot of teamwork that's starting to build up here, and as long as it continues to build, you're going to see Pickwa grow. So I greatly appreciate your comments tonight. And with no other questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve resolution number R-38-22.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we'll move into the public comments section for this evening. Please come up to the podium, state your name and address or business that you own, and let's talk about your issues.
Again, I'm Wayne Holton. I own Susie's Big Dipper downtown. I also live right over here on Green Street. The actual reason I came here tonight was things are doing fantastic downtown. 20 years ago, when downtown the streets were empty at nighttime, it was a quiet place. Now it's busy, it's full, but the issue that's coming now is parking. And I know we've discussed this over and over and over again, on top of the downtown stuff that's growing. Next to the YWCA, there's an apartment building that hasn't been open in 20 years that by May they're going to open 6 apartments in there. And I think there's in the teens by the end of the year. If you go around the corner, VSF has just bought the big apartment building right across the street from my house. That's going to come back up in service. There's already no parking in that area. So we're going to add somewhere around 20-some apartments. Where are we going to park them? The YWCA right now cannot park their people, and they do a lot of stuff with elderly people that come in and out of their meetings and stuff. If they put those apartments there, we just need a plan. It's all good stuff, but what's the plan for parking? If you go downtown right now, Winans is growing. That's awesome. But you look at the back side of the boulevard behind Susie's any day now, that's 100% Winans cars. So that has done away with parking for us. They added the beauty shop on the corner there. That's 6 cars in there. Right now, the bar is closed. If that comes back, they got no place to park cars. As a city, we need to look at what are we doing for parking. And I know we've discussed before, there's 300 and some parking spots or however many, but that doesn't accommodate a little old lady behind our store that has to park 5 blocks away. We need a downtown parking area that's just for employees. If the city were to purchase the corner parking lot that's sat empty for 20 years and make that into just a downtown employee parking, that would free up so many spots to put people over there out of the way for these elderly people to park and not have to walk blocks away. There is no place most of the time on Main Street to park for anybody to use the facilities of the stores down there. The apartments you have upstairs, that's another 3, 4, 5 cars out there. So I just ask that we take a proactive look. All this stuff is good, but where are we going to park all these cars?
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
I agree.
The parking lot that we have leased, how many spots are in that one? That are behind, isn't that behind where the mercantile and everybody's at, or is that a block down?
A portion of it is on canal land that the city owns, and then recently we leased the strip that abuts the property to the east, and I think there's probably 24 spaces there on the piece we leased, and then the area that we own, there's another dozen. We are, so to the comments made, I appreciate where that's coming from, and as we continue to have success with attracting development interest and getting some of these buildings reactivated, and getting folks living downtown in those apartments and or on the upper floor spaces, that's a good thing. That's feet on the sidewalk, people frequenting the shops and creating more vibrancy and activity. But we also need to be mindful of, you've got some parking demands. So we have, in my office, I've got the city planner, I've asked her to work on a parking strategy. It's one thing to have a map that indicates the number of spaces that are out there, or signs that say parking's this way. But we're looking at what are the actual conditions that are occurring, what's the turnover rate look like and the utilization rate look like for those spaces, and how can we optimize the spaces that we have, and where do we need to increase or make more parking available. And so that strategy will give us some definition to what's working well and what's not working well, what can we do to really make sure we're addressing the needs of the downtown environment. Shared parking agreements and things of the like, removal of some obsolete buildings and additional parking, right where you're referring to, Mayor. Those are all things that are coming. And so we're trying to stay in front of that, but we're definitely not letting our foot off of the gas pedal in terms of trying to incentivize those other activities, which, as Mr. Pope said, are all good things. And so if we have a parking problem, that'll be a good problem to have. And we just don't want it to get to a point where it becomes a negative issue.
Well, if you answer those questions, you just said it'll answer his.
Yeah.
So, yes, ma'am.
Mindy Gregerson, I was just up here. And to that same point, when we talk about if we start having more apartments above buildings, more businesses, think something that might help is, how to put this diplomatically. If you live in Piqua and you're gonna live above a business, that's great. If I didn't have animals and didn't like my space, I would think about it.
Yeah.
But if you're going to make that move, I don't think you should make that move and have 5 cars sitting behind where you're living. on private or on public property. So I think maybe we need to look at parking permits or something. If you have 2 people in your apartment, 2 cars. If you only have 1 of you, I don't think you need 5 cars. And that is a problem behind my store. So that's something you might want to think about.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments from the citizens? With none of those, we will move into the city manager's report.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commission. While I have Mr. Krieger here, I thought it would be a good opportunity to let him give props to the folks that stood up the AMI, the Advanced Metering Infrastructure Project that we just completed and tested today. And I thought while he was sitting here, if you wanted to make a few comments, that would be great.
Thank you. So, yeah, it's, I don't know how long has it been since you asked if I wanted the opportunity to lead the utility business office. And there's lots of reasons I was excited to do that. And one of them was to restart the AMI process for the electric meters. We had put in the infrastructure and the project had stalled for almost 3 years. So, you know, we were able to land an awesome employee. RJ Monier came in with the experiences that we need to really take this utility business office to the next level. And his experience with AMI and his previous employer and with our CIS conversion we're undertaking, I mean, it's just been he's been a huge asset to us, and he's transforming that group down there. And on March 6th, we basically turned on the AMI system, and we're billing with reads through the automated metering infrastructure, and it's going to make everyone's job in the utility business office so much more efficient. It's going to allow us to communicate with our customers proactively and provide them the level of service that they really deserve. And this is just really the start of where we're going to end up when we get the CIS integration completed at the end of this year. So exciting times. Today was a collection day actually, and I'm excited because we're able to do remote disconnects and reconnects where I don't have to have my employees going into a situation that's always not the most favorable in terms of in and out of customers' houses in a situation that can be pretty volatile. So, you know, that's exciting for me in terms of being able to provide a much safer work environment for our employees. So this AMI system, turning that on and being able to do what we're going to be able to do, it's really exciting times, and it's just the beginning of where we're going to be able to take this organization.
Thank you. Next, I just wanted to talk about April 2nd. We had a Resident Appreciation Day out at Echo Hills. It was very well attended. Prior to that, there was a drainage issue on, I believe it was Hole 5, and with the assistance of the engineering staff and some other folks, they relieved that drainage issue, which has been long-standing bone of contention for the golfers, I think. And so after it rains all this week, I'll be curious to see how well that holds up. In addition to that drainage issue being resolved, they have made some improvements in the clubhouse for this year, including new flooring and paint, new furniture, and some other items in terms of convenience accessories like refrigerators and things like that. And so moving into next year, there's another round of capital improvements that we'll be considering to stand up the golf course in a better fashion. And lastly, we have new management out there. There's a interim golf manager that's been hired to assist us while we work through evaluating the golf course operations and understanding what our future looks like. And so he's done a fantastic job on April 2nd and has been well received by the community.
Who is
it? His name's Bob, and
Yep.
thank you. And thank you, Commissioner. put me on the spot.
Didn't know.
That's all right. At any rate, in addition to that, we have the 4 Up program, which is online tea times. It's very similar to what Miami Shore's same program that they run. Also provides notification when the course is wet or partially closed, or if there's a, God forbid, a frost delay. So it's nice to have that as well, and it'll help manage our books in terms of revenue and expenses better than what we had been doing. Lastly, we have a work session planned on April 19th, and it was to be on rates and fees. And we're going to be postponing that and moving it to the May 17th work session agenda. That gives the staff and myself more time to do a deeper dive into the rate structures and have a better comparison put together that'll elaborate the differentiation between communities and where we're at. And I think to the point we keep talking about tonight, have a better understanding of administrative overhead and transparency on really what those fees need to look like. Also, too, the day after that, on May 18th, which is a Wednesday, we'll have our first town hall meeting of 2022. We were going to have quarterly meetings, and we missed the first one that would have been this winter. So we'll be moving to the May 18th meeting. That'll be held at the gazebo, weather permitting. That's in my report.
So do we need to remove the April 19th off the calendar then and go ahead and cancel it, or are we going to put anything in its place?
Well, we'll have an agenda put together, and if there's notification for cancellation, we'll know that next week.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for your report. Now we'll move on to commissioners' comments, and I will start with Commissioner Lee this evening.
Want to thank Chip Fox for all his dedicated time working for the city. He taught my kids, gave me golf tips, and had me interested in golf, so I appreciate everything that he's done for us. And I have warm thoughts for Commissioner Grissom as he's convalescing at home. That's all I'll say about that. And then I don't think I have any other comments. Golf course is open, correct?
Yes, weather permitting.
Weather permitting, golf course is open, go golf. I think I might try and stop the rain. I'll go out there. That'll work. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hines.
Also, thank you to Chip Fox for the many years. He gave me some golf lessons a few years ago, and also was extremely helpful for my son when he was playing golf out there. The summer golf program is just such a wonderful thing for our community, and I know he has impacted many people. So we thank him for his time with us and wish him the best in his retirement. Also, just prayers for Chris Grissom, and be good to have him back with us at our next meeting. So I think that's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Pearson.
I too want to congratulate Chip Fox on 18 years out of the Echo Hills Golf Course. He brought the game of golf to our kids. He ran a summer camp for our children. He also set up multiple men's leagues and women's leagues. He had introduced scrambles, including the season-ending NFL scramble, which was always popular among all the members. In addition, he also gave golf lessons, and he got us through the pandemic. When we were closed up in our houses, we could go out and breathe the fresh air and play a round of golf, and I thank him for his dedication. I also had the opportunity to go to the Riverway Summit last Saturday, and it was great listening to, and hearing all the new things and developments that were going on in between Piqua and Hamilton, and it's just exciting to see all the developments. That's all I had.
Great. Thank you. Thank you all for your comments. I want to say great meeting tonight. Lorna, thanks for bringing all your events up and putting them out in front of the public. You know, it's 100%. I'd like to get those put out on the city's website if all possible. I think they're normally out there. I know that you guys have your calendar, but if there's changes to that, just make sure that the city gets updated on that. I want to say thank you to Chip Fox as well, just to echo what the other commissioners talked about this evening. and also Miss Commissioner Grissom here tonight. And I say this with a heavy heart, and this is where I'm going to wrap things up at tonight. I had made a career change, and with that career change, multiple changes have been thrown at me that I was not expecting, so I will be stepping down as the mayor and also as a commissioner for the city of Piqua. And it's truly with a heavy heart. I've talked about this thing for 3 weeks to myself. I put pros and cons list together. I've tried to figure out time how to do it, but with my demanding work schedule and also still raising a family of my own, you know, I've got to set this to the side. I will still be active in the community in one way or another. I've reassured my commissioners and also the city manager, you know, I'm gonna stay involved as much as I can. It's been great over the past 2 years that I've set up here. It's been great for the past, you know, 4 short months that I've been setting up here as the mayor. And I know this team will continue to move the city of Piqua forward. I want to say thank you to everybody, and I will be in touch and just acting in a different capacity going forward. So heartfelt wishes from myself to the city of Piqua, and it's said with a heavy heart for sure. You know, I try not to tear up, but you know, I got a little bit of tear up here in my eye right now saying this because I'm in love with this community. You know, I always talked about being from the community north of here, but this is home. So, you know, I appreciate everything everybody's done here for me.
Thank you.
And like I said, I'll still be in touch. I'm gonna finish out the month of April, and I will step down effective May 1st. So thank everybody in the city for their support, and I look forward to working in a different capacity.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Thomas, your energy and your vision and your dedication to this job, you really took it seriously, and you are appreciated. So thank you for the time that you've given us.
Lots of good ideas, and
Yeah.
those won't stop coming, will they?
Absolutely
No.
not.
I didn't think
You'll
so.
still be supporting us in different ways.
Yes,
so.
you will. I
Absolutely,
appreciate you.
We
Thank you,
appreciate
sir.
it.
Yeah, thank you.
So with that being said, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.